Thank you. Next item, item 1, call to order. I did that. Okay, item 2, roll call. Martina, will you please call the roll to ensure that we have a quorum of the board present?
Certainly, starting with Bolinas, Director Molesworth.
Here.
Director Jones for Mill Valley.
Stephen, you need to be near a mic. Somebody, we need to give him a mic because it's all being recorded.
Thank you, Stephen. For the City of San Rafael, Director Kurtz.
Present.
For Larkspur, Director Way. For the County of Marin, Director Rodoni.
Present.
For Inverness, Director Donahue.
Here.
For Kentfield, Director Evergettis.
Here.
For Murraywood, Director Shea.
Here.
For Muir Beach, Director Murray. And I did hear from Director Murray she will not be with us this afternoon. I do not believe she has an alternate. For Novato, Director Goins.
Here.
For Sleepy Hollow, Director Finn.
Here.
For Stinson Beach, Director White. For Corte Madera, Director Casisa.
Here.
For the Town of Ross, Director McMillan.
Here.
For the Town of San Anselmo, Director Schlesinger. Unable to attend. For, excuse me, for the Town of Fairfax, Director Kohler.
Here.
And for the Southern Marin Fire District, President Director Hilliard.
Here.
We do have a quorum and may proceed.
Thank you. At this time, I'd just like to ask if we have anybody online from the board to determine whether we need to take roll call votes or whether we can show hands.
We do not have any directors in the hybrid environment, so we can call for the vote.
Thank you. Okay. Item 3, agenda adjustments. Do any board members or staff have any agenda adjustments?
Yes, staff recommends moving the Fire Safe Marine Report, item 9A, to be immediately following the consent calendar.
Thank you. Do I have any other adjustments? Okay, so do we need to take a vote on that? I think it's fine, right? No. Okay, good. All right, so now we move to item 4, open time for public expression. The public is welcome to address the board of directors at this time on matters not on the agenda that are within the jurisdiction of the board. Please be advised that pursuant to Government Code Section 54954.2, the board is not permitted to discuss or take action on any item not on the agenda. Comments may be no longer than 2 minutes and should be respectful to the community. Please silence your cell phones during the meeting and mute your microphone when not speaking. Okay. So now, are there any members of the public, either present or online, who wish to make a comment at this time?
It looks like we do currently have 2 hands raised for comment in the remote environment. I will call in the first person. It looks like we have Jack Gescheit. Sir, you should be able to deliver your comment at this time, and we will begin the 2-minute comment timer once you begin speaking.
Give me a 5-minute leeway. I just want to make sure, yes, you can hear me first.
Yes, we can hear you, sir.
And this is audio only, is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, lucky you. Please begin the timer. Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for assembling. And I just wanted to make a plea, an entreaty ongoing, that the huge amount of money that's being spent on vegetation management, in whether it's thinning forest or clearing underbrush and all the other names for it, instead be directed, all those funds spent on the only proven effective methods to protect homes, especially in Marin, with all the trees and all the forests around us, which is home hardening and defensible space. Now, you guys know this is nothing new, but I'm really disturbed and upset to see all the money, more and more, increasingly more, demonizing forests as dangerous fire fuel sources. I mean, all these words. This is why we live here, to have these precious forests. We want to, of course, be safe in wildfire. I live way up in the hills in Fairfax for 3 years. And I mean, the biggest threat to me was the nearby house 10 feet away. If that thing caught fire, you know, our house is going to burn. But it's not about reducing forests. These days, forests are demonized as the enemy and are going to kill us all if we don't thin them. And that's absolute nonsense. Thinning forests, also called vegetation management, going in with machine tools, and of course, herbicides, which are awful, just reduced forest cover and make them sunnier, hotter, drier, and more ignition prone. Defensible space and home hardening, please, for all these things is what's needed. I'm sure other people, all the other people lined up today to make a comment will say the same thing. And you guys know this. It's a matter of emphasis, spending money wisely. I'm speaking on behalf of In Defense of Animals. I'm a campaigner for and a contractor for, and also for my own Tree Spirit project. So this is common sense stuff. I'm just going to keep calling in and emphasizing is thank you for my comment. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Who is our next person to speak?
Okay, and it looks like our next person to speak, they're listed as Abby. You should be able to deliver your comment at this time.
I don't know what's going on here. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, great. Well, I just wanted to say that as far as I can remember, this is the third summer in a row when you've put big projects on the agenda and nobody's around now. It's really hard to get public participation in these important projects. And I think that this is the second time you put something really big on the consent calendar. So I would like you to move item 6F off the consent calendar so that the community can have a robust conversation about it, because you're talking about adding another $445,000 or 77% to the budget for thinning and understory clearance and vegetation management.
So just to cut you off, I'm sorry to interrupt. We're more than happy to take that comment during the time when it's available. This right now is public comment on things that are not on the agenda.
Okay.
So, when the consent calendar comes up, we'll take note that you would like that pulled.
Thank you so much. I appreciate that. I think that it's time for a thorough and honest cost benefit analysis of these types of projects. In multiple public comments, I and others have emphasized that current fire science and field data from institutions like UC Irvine, UCLA, Cal Poly, and the US Forest Service show that the most effective wildfire protections are structural hardening, zone zero defensible space, and community preparedness. Large-scale vegetation treatments, including thinning and the understory removal and remote fuel breaks, have repeatedly failed to stop wind-driven wildfires. About 85% of wildfires have human-caused ignition sources, and up to 90% of homes lost in wildfires ignite from wind-blown embers. Marin County has also one of the lowest lightning strike rates in North America, so investing so much money into projects and programs that won't actually make us safer takes money away from important priorities like defensible space. And finally, it doesn't give me any great comfort to hear that there are certain special interests that are asking for up to $29 million to start a wood products, biochar, and biomass industry in Marin County. I think instead what we need to do is pull back, take a look, and have an honest conversation of the cost-benefit analysis. Thank you.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you so much for your comments. So noted. Are there any other people present or online who wish to make a comment at this time?
It does not appear that we have any additional comments for this item. I do see Abby's hand still raised, but I believe that may be for the next item as she just delivered her comment.
Okay, thanks to both of you for your comments. And then we are now moving on to the Executive Officer's oral report. Executive Officer Mark Brown will provide the staff with a report on this item. Mark.
Good afternoon, everybody. And it's been warm, it's been dry, and it may come as a surprise to, or maybe not a surprise, but sometimes when you sit back and look at it, it was a little bit surprising to think that we are entering our 7th fiscal year. It just feels like yesterday that we started. But we are in our 7th fiscal year, and I feel like we have taken an important step over the last several years, just becoming a more mature organization that has fixed routines, and we're plodding along. And I think both Marin Wildfire and all of our member agencies have caught our stride. I typically like to talk about the fuels outlooks this time of year. Our live fuels are trending within historic norms. But then when we talk about our light, flashy dead fuels, actually yesterday at Mount Tam, our light flashy fuels got down to 4%, which is really, really dry. And as some of you experienced and some of you know, we did have a public safety power shutdown in Mill Valley. What I find interesting, though, and encouraging, and I think it speaks to the science that has really been, Marin Wildfire has helped to advance that science, is this is the first time I know of that PG&E has done a PSPS on a dry onshore sea breeze. And Marin Wildfire and Marin County Fire were the agencies that actually brought about the risk that occurs on a dry sea breeze day. We were the ones that were saying, hey, people, wake up. It's not just offshore days. There is a 12-hour window of dry sea breeze that is very dangerous. That's why we've added it to our modeling. And it's nice to see a robust organization like PG&E that has a very mature and dedicated meteorology staff identify themselves that a dry sea breeze is worthy of a PSPS to reduce that potential ignition. And that's science that we actually were the leaders in pushing forward. So it's great to see some other people follow that. I encourage all of the board members to go back into our archives, and I can send a link to the board as well, to watch the executive committee for the very informative biomass study presented by Bruce and Bell Cole. Thank you very much. I think you guys will find it worthy of your time. Strategic planning is continuing. Jean Bonander has met with some of our staff to help set up for our operations committee session for strategic planning, and then she'll be circling back with you. And you should have all received a memo 2 weeks ago talking about the updates in strategic planning. We've I've been talking about some of our successes when it comes to getting people off the California Fair Plan and into Mercury. The first success story is highlighted in Fortune magazine. Marin Wildfire is not named directly, but the resident who came off, it was well named. And there will be an upcoming Chronicle article outlining that whole success story. And I'm working with FireSafe Marin now that are at an upcoming Firewise leader meeting. We'll be rolling the entire program out for the entire county. Lately, I've been asked to be on a couple of different podcasts and panel discussions. I shared the links with you. They were fun to participate on, informative for myself, and I think informative for everyone else. Wanted to mention one of the items that's on consent, but I just wanted to bring it up just because I'm particularly excited about this project. And when San Rafael proposed it, I pulled the fire chief and Quinn Gardner aside and said, wow, this might be the project I'm most excited about this year. And that is the evacuation planning project, using not only Ladris AI's modeling, but they brought in some subject matter experts to help with consultation and the creation of an evacuation plan. Our folks in Mill Valley already have a great evacuation plan that they put a ton of effort into. This is a perfect example of monies from Marin Wildfire being well used to create an evacuation plan for another of our member agencies. And I hope that other member agencies, or perhaps full zones, because it might, looking at the Ross Valley as an example, it probably isn't appropriate for one city to work on an evacuation plan in isolation, whereas the whole valley should work on a singular evacuation plan. And perhaps that could be a core project for 27, 28. But thank you to San Rafael for pioneering this path with Ladris AI. And then wanted to give you a follow-up on the recruitment for our vegetation management specialist. 113 applicants. Out of the 113, only 9 of them did not meet qualifications. So that is a remarkable volume of candidates. 9 were invited for a follow-up interview. 3 of those 9 went and visited with Ann and I yesterday. And we would not hesitate to hire any one of the single 3. So we are in the wonderful spot of having a very difficult decision. But as difficult as that decision is, no matter which one we make, it's going to be the right decision. At least that's how I feel for the candidates, and we'll be making notifications soon. And once backgrounds go through, we'll make sure that we have an introduction for the board to meet our newest member. And with that, I'll stop my screen share and take any questions.
Was that my turn?
Yes.
Thank you very much, Mark. I was particularly excited about the Ladris study as well, and we talked about that briefly. I'm just wondering, some of us even with our zones, don't get much money and we suck it all up. So I'm wondering if there's anything, on worthy projects, not, sucking up just for fun. So I'm just wondering if there's ever a consideration, seeing how things happen in San Rafael with the Ladris evacuation, if we would consider looking maybe JP wide for, you know, looking at that kind of approach.
It's definitely something we can consider as we go through the next work plan.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thanks to San Rafael, I was actually really excited reading this at my home. Thank you.
Great. Other comments, questions? I have a question. Yesterday in Mill Valley, some parts of Mill Valley were out and others weren't. Is it the fact that some of those that were out are at the base of Mount Tam and others were not? I'm in Tam Valley. Can you explain how they made the decision on what portions of Mill Valley should go out?
For when it comes to PSPS, it has to do with where there are going to be increased fire risk areas, but also how their circuits are lined out and how they can isolate certain circuits and not isolate other circuits.
Okay, thank you so much. Any other questions? Comments? Okay, moving on. So now we are, well, just before the consent calendar, are we going to do something or no, wait.
Sorry, just wanted to make sure we opened up public comment on the report.
Thank you so much. Okay, are there any members of the public present or online who would like to make a comment on the executive officer's report?
We do. It looks like we have a hand raised. And Abby, you should be able to deliver your comment.
Hi, thank you very much. Really glad to hear about the safe evacuation routes planning. I think it should have probably started a long time ago, but I'm really happy that it's moving forward. I think that looking at that, if we can fit it into 2026, might even be better. That photo was really compelling. I think it was taken in Glen Ellen, and I think I went through there right after that horrible fire. And I also remember when the Santa Rosa fires happened, when I woke up in the middle of the night and I looked out and there was ash streaming down the size of dollar bills onto my roof and my deck. And at that time, those embers were completely out. But again, home hardening, home hardening, home hardening is so important. And then finally, with regard to Barbara Kohler's comment, I totally agree about the safe evacuation routes and would like to propose that Fairfax receive a grant to replace the staircase between, I think it's Crescent and Forest Terrace. It's a rickety old staircase. It's right by the power line, and a lot of elderly residents, particularly in that neighborhood, have been asking about that for a long time. So it's not cheap, but it's a little investment compared to all of the vegetation management stuff that we're doing. So if we could take a look at that either this year or next year, that would be wonderful. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I just want to mention this Barbara Kohler. There are some folks who talk about using the steps and lanes that many of us have for evacuation. That's really a bad approach. You will burn. And so that the Forest Terrace steps, unfortunately, we don't have the funding to replace those. And there are many steps, lanes, and paths in Fairfax that we've tried to replace. That one is pretty expensive. So it's not something that would be eligible for a grant here. But I would just say that I would encourage people, Chief Tyler, or who I don't see, or Jen Gana can mention the excellent wildfire watch that was done about evacuating. And I think Mark was featured in it. Is that correct?
Yep.
Can you mention the name of that? Because I think it would be really good just to mention that for the record.
I believe it was the wildfire watch that we did right after the Lahaina fire that talked about evacuations. We really dug in. It was myself, Jason Weber, and Chief Navarro from Mill Valley.
Yeah, and so maybe one of the things we could do, I think we have links to all of that, but maybe Fire Safe Marin could highlight it a little bit on their website, Jen. That would be great. Because I just think, it seems convenient to just run out down those steps, but you will get caught. So thank you so much, Abby, for bringing that to our attention.
Thank you. Are there any other public comments, questions?
There are no additional hands at this time.
Okay. Back to the board. Are there any additional comments or questions? Okay, there's no motion required here. Item 6, consent calendar. The opportunity for public comment on the consent calendar items will occur prior to the board's discussion of the consent calendar. The board may approve the entire consent calendar with one action, or items on the consent calendar may be removed by any board or staff member for separate discussion and vote. I will now take public comment on, sorry, yeah. So yeah, I have to do this first, I think, right?
I would just ask, Mark, were you going to mention something about the consent?
Yeah, staff recommends pulling, after consultation with the board president and vice president, staff recommends pulling consent item 6F and then vote on the rest of the consent item as a whole and then vote on 6F separately.
So Emily, do we need a motion for that?
No motion needed. It was noted. And if you could just allow again public comment prior to discussing the item that was removed.
And now is the time for public comment on the consent calendar as a whole, except for F.
Perfect. So it looks like we do have two hands raised in the virtual environment. We'll go first with, it looks like Janice Reynolds. Janice, you should be able to deliver your comment at this time. The timer will begin once you begin speaking.
Just excuse me, a point of clarification. Should that be at the time where we discuss item F separately or now?
The public comment?
Yes.
Oh, it depends if she's having a comment on which item. So I would allow public comment now in case there's items that are different, or she can comment on the item that has been removed also.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to thank
Emily,
you for,
before you speak, Emily, when we pull an item off consent, that's taken separately. Right now, we're looking at the entire consent calendar minus item F. I don't want to argue with you, but it just seems like we should not, item F will be separate comments.
It will be separate comments. I thought considering do it consecutively, but let's take all of the items in case they have concerns right now that the item that wasn't pulled. So we'll allow comments with that, bring
Right.
it back to you, discuss the pulled item and allow public comments for the pulled item. Subsection F.
Okay. So would you like to proceed, or was your choice to discuss item F?
I think we're looking for public comments now on everything except for F. Except
Yes.
for F.
Okay, thank you.
So she will see if there's comments.
Okay.
So Janice, you should be able to deliver your comment at this time for items 6A through E and G on the consent calendar. You may begin.
thank
in
you.
yeah.
Thank you, and good afternoon, everybody. I just wanted to say thank you for pulling 6F. That's all I wanted to say. Thanks.
Great.
For your comment.
Okay. Any other comments on the consent calendar as a whole minus the item we pulled?
We do. And Abby, you should be able to deliver your comment at this time. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Hi, yes. Thanks again for pulling 6F so we can have a community conversation about it. There are some other items, though, on the consent calendar that I think really do warrant their own votes. So I'd like to know a little bit more. I'm not prepared to tell you exactly which one, but I would like to know really a little bit more about all of these. And I'm curious why you've decided to lump them together in a consent calendar in the summertime, again, when few people are around and when this is super important. I think that there's a defensible space, couple defensible space contractors, and I'm wondering why you're selecting those and not allowing homeowners to, what's going on a little bit more with that. But I'm very interested in 6F and thanks for pulling that.
Thank you for your comment.
Thank you. Okay. Thanks for your comments. Any other comments? Okay, hearing none.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the consent calendar items A, B, C, D, E, and G.
I second. Second.
Moved by Director McMillan, seconded by Director Goins. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? The motion passes. Thank you so much. Okay, now moving on. We have now item F to discuss. So, Mark, do you want to lead that off?
You
please?
bet. Happy to. And I just want to clarify that staff is recommending to pull the item so that we can explain why it's appropriate for it to be on consent, because it is a very natural administrative step for us to take, and it is a very typical consent item. We did receive an email from a small group of people requesting to pull it. So when we archive the board agenda, all of that correspondence and recommendations from that correspondence will be included. What I did want to clarify is that this budget transfer is not for a single project. The $477,000 isn't for a single project. It is a series of projects that monies are being moved around to. So it's not a dramatic increase to any one single projects. And what I think is also really important to point out, we're not approving the projects. We're approving the money to go into the support of these projects. Every one of these projects has been vetted in multiple public meetings, whether it's the operations committee, executive committee, board of directors. Most of these projects, if not all of them, have been on our work plan for at least 3 years. So take that one series of projects or meetings of online or in public meetings, multiply that by 3 years. That is how much public deliberation has been going on about these projects. When it comes to working through our master services agreements to put contractors onto projects to work, we follow the task order process. That is an administrative step. Every single one of the task orders that have been approved by Marin Wildfire have been approved via the consent calendar. And I guess the word controversial, or what is controversial, is in the eye of the beholder. We have a small number of people that are speaking about against some of our projects and or the methodologies of our work and or the science behind our work, compared to the very large majority of people that reside in Marin, that are in California, that are subject matter experts in this field, that wholly support our work and in a way that we're doing it. We're used as a model for other people to follow, not just because of our funding, but how much work we're getting done and the type of work that we're getting done. Has there been an ongoing dialogue between Marin Wildfire leadership and the members that are concerned about our work? Absolutely. And it doesn't mean that just because we don't necessarily agree with some of the observations that have been presented to us, doesn't mean we aren't considering it. It doesn't mean we aren't listening to it. One of the people that asked for us to pull the project or pull this from consent shared a research paper with me that I absolutely found fascinating. In fact, we are going to be adding it to our science and research page. In that research paper, it said that we need to have diverse methods to solve the wildfire problem. Here in Marin Wildfire, we've been calling that a systems approach. Focusing solely on home hardened and defensible space is not a diverse approach, is not a systems approach. Another thing the research paper pointed out that said in low elevation, dry forests, vegetation management, grazing, and prescribed fire is an effective tool in environments where fire has been removed. I'm not sure there's a better definition to what we have in Marin. We're low elevation, dry, and we have a fire environment where we have removed fire. We used to have a return interval of fire of every 8 to 15 years. Now we have a return interval of 50 to 75 years. So I think the dialogue that we've been having has been a very valuable one for all of us. Note about CEQA and perhaps increasing the funding for projects changes what we should do with CEQA. CEQA has no connection whatsoever to how much money you're spending on a project. That is not a relative factor to CEQA, number one. Number two, when we did the environmental compliance for every single project that's listed, the environmental compliance took in the entirety of the project, the entire size and the entire length of time that it'll take to get it done. Adding funding year by year, because these projects are multi-year projects, is an administrative course of action. That was envisioned when we put in the original environmental compliance paperwork. For the San Rafael San Anselmo fuel reduction zone, we followed the California Vegetation Treatment Plan. We exceeded the public outreach demands of the Cal VTP, and we were very public and had a ton of public participation, and we encouraged that public participation. We also did an initial studies mitigated deck for another one of the projects. So all of the environmental compliance is solid here, and there is no impact by increasing the amount of money that's going towards these projects. Several research entities have been listed as recommending only defensible space and home hardening. That is not what they are saying. And I'll use the awesome study from UC Berkeley, Michael Gollner being one of the lead researchers. Michael connects with Marin Wildfire on a regular basis to ask us what we think. He asked us actually to weigh in on that paper that they released. And if you remember back, I think it was in December when we were approving the public works plan, and the UC Berkeley paper was used as a reason why we should not be doing work in a vegetation management work in a coastal zone. Michael Gollner appeared in public comment supporting our systems approach and referencing his paper and say that paper isn't suggesting we only do home hardening defensible space. We were just highlighting how good and important it is. So these research institutes will put out information that says perhaps, or listing how important home hardening defensible space is. They aren't saying that's the only thing we should be doing. And then tying the lack of a COC meeting in June as proof of lack of transparency on Marin Wildfire's part shows a misunderstanding of what the COC's role is. As you guys know, the COC does not review projects or board decisions prior to the board making a decision and make a recommendation to the board. So the fact that we canceled the COC meeting in June had nothing to do with the timing of this consent item. Quite frankly, they're working on their 24-25 annual report. They did not have anything to discuss about that report. They're going to be wrapping it up next month. And then I'll close by saying, trying to accuse Marin Wildfire of not being transparent to me is frankly laughable. I'm biased. I work here, but I've worked for the government for a long time. There's no single entity I've ever seen that is more transparent than Marin Wildfire. As I outlined, all of these projects have been through numerous meetings over numerous years. The fact that the people who sent emails were able to pull up such distinct details about our projects is an example of our transparency. If we weren't transparent, they wouldn't be able to get those details in the way that they did. We also have field trips. We actually take people out and show our work. 4 field trips to the San Rafael San Anselmo fuel reduction zone, 14 web page updates for that single project. Again, an example of our transparency. And the fact that we're pulling this item shows that we are willing to be transparent when people have concerns about what's on consent. And then the fact that I'm discussing an accusation of a lack of transparency in a public meeting, I think also speaks to the level of our transparency. And I've said this at a few board meetings, and I'll say it again, and I'll stop talking. What we say, what we're going to do. We say we're going to do it. We say how we're going to do it. And then we do it. And so that's all I have.
Thank you so much for the detailed explanation. Thank you very much for pointing these things out. And everything is also on the website. And also the proposition, the measure itself contains the kinds of things that we can and cannot do. So I really appreciate your thorough explanation. Do any other board members wish to make a comment?
Just one, the earlier version of the staff report just listed Foster and Kroger 006, and it didn't split out. There are actually 7 projects under there, so I'm not sure if folks maybe looked at the earlier draft that didn't outline, there are 7 projects, so not all of that money is going to one of those projects. So thank you, Mark, for the explanation.
And thank you for your public comments and encouraging you to continue to work with us and give us your comments. You are being listened to. Okay, so yes. You have
I don't know if we open public comment for this particular item.
Okay, so we are now on item 6F. Are there any members of the public present or online who wish to make a public comment?
And we do. It looks like we have 2 hands. I will go ahead and Abby, you should be able to deliver your comment at this time. The timer will begin once you start speaking.
Thank you. Yeah, I just want to say that there's always opportunities to become more transparent. And just because something adheres to the letter of the law does not give it the type of transparency that I think these decisions really require in this time. And I don't know how many comments you've heard. I know that there's a number of people that haven't been happy about these projects. Their comments too are on the public record. But to suggest that some of the research that we've sent to you, you're going to take one study of the, I don't know, 40 or 50 articles that some of us have sent to you and say that that's representative of the whole thing, I don't think is painting a clear picture. I don't think anybody is suggesting that only home hardening and defensible space is what we need. We also need safe evacuation routes, which is why I said earlier that I was thrilled that you were taking a step in that direction. But in terms of thinning, there have been public comments, including by other experts, that suggest that it is counterintuitive to what we're trying to achieve. I believe that scientist, Mark, that you referred to also gave a presentation to Marin Wildfire. I don't know if it was the same guy, but at the end of it, he said that his study was about Western dry forests, not Marin wet coastal forests. So we are not in a high desert dry forest environment. We are in a low coastal ecosystem for the most part, and it does get dry here, but it's a completely different ecosystem. And I do want to reference a comment that Dr. Chad Hansen of John Muir Project of Earth Island Institute said regarding a project at Tomales Bay, which I know isn't an MWPA project. But he said in his comment letter, as I explained below in detail with numerous citations to scientific sources, mechanical thinning along with other forms of logging alter the microclimate of forests in ways that create hotter, drier, and windier conditions, which intensify wildfire behavior and increase the rate of wildfire spread toward communities. And thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comment. And it looks like we do have one additional hand raised, and that is from Janice Reynolds. Janice, you should be able to speak at this time. The timer will begin once you start talking.
Hi, again. I have followed MWPA's work since its inception. I've hiked the trails before and after the treatments. I've read the staff reports, commented on projects, the budget, and the PWP. For the last 6 weeks, I have been in formal dialogue with your leadership, requesting the peer-reviewed science that justifies your landscape vegetation strategy. The dialogue has not produced the answers. This board needs to make an informal decision. So today I am here to ask the board to demand these answers. Before you vote on this $445,000 budget increase, I ask you to direct staff to respond to these 3 critical questions. First, will you please direct staff to provide a current single peer-reviewed study that validates the effectiveness of this landscape strategy in Marin's diverse ecosystems, our mountainous chaparral, oak woods, and grasslands under the extreme wind conditions that threaten us most. And that's the big focus here. Is a lot of times when I'm going back and forth, I'm talking about extreme windroom conditions, not just a fire break that may slow something in a mild condition fire. Second, will you please direct staff to explain how their low elevation dry forest model applies to our county? The 2023 Wildfire and Forest Resilience Task Force report explicitly states that Intensive vegetation management in shrublands and grasslands may not confer the same degree of ecosystem benefits of wildfire risk reduction as it does in forests. Why are we applying a flawed model to our landscape? Finally, we all agree that home hardening works. So my final question is this: why is the board being asked to approve another $445,000 for a less effective strategy instead of relocating more funds to expand the grant programs and the Ember Ready initiatives that we all agree will save the most homes? Thank you.
Thank you very much. All
I
right,
forgot your
now
comment.
back.
There are no additional hands at this time.
Oh, thank you so much. Okay. So we are now considering a vote on item 6F. What, could I have a motion?
I move that we move along consent item number F.
Second.
Moved by Director Goins, seconded by Director McMillan. All in favor of, oh, comments? Sorry.
Somebody else.
Oh, sorry, Director Kurtz. Okay, thank you. So, so all in favor of approval of item 6F, please indicate. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstain? Thank you so much for your consideration. 6F is approved.
I just mentioned something. I know I'm annoying, but yeah, this is being recorded. So raising your hand or not speaking into a mic, we're not recording the votes. So if everyone could try the next time to specifically speak into a mic when you say aye or nay or abstain, that would be great. And I sit on the board of the Community Media Center of Marin, so I'm just trying to make sure that we have accurate videos. Thank you.
All right, you heard it. All right, so now moving on, our next item, we've moved up in the agenda. It's item 9. And is Chief Tyler going to make that presentation?
Chief Tyler is going to make the presentation, and he is here in person. However, due to an echo effect that we've been having when he plays his video and sound, he's doing it from the conference room next door, so we don't have the echo while he plays the awesome video. So, Bill, hand it off to you.
Thank you so much. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. Let me just set my screen up here. So what we're going to talk about this afternoon is something that I had mentioned to you over the last couple of months, and that is a retrofitting for wildfire contractor training program that was funded by the Marin Community Foundation about a year ago. It's a 2-year funding cycle, and it parallels and is cooperative with the Ember Ready program in that it's going to train contractors to understand more about how homes and businesses and structures are vulnerable, and then the best practices to mitigate those to reduce structure loss. And so this program that I want to walk you through has quite a bit of video and sound, and so it's very visual. So let's go ahead and get going. So the reason really why the program came into being is that we're seeing this massive demand for skilled contractors that have the equipment and the knowledge to be able to help homeowners mitigate risks. We originally, and this is saying my internet is unstable. Can you still hear me okay?
Yes, we can, sir.
Okay, good. So what's driving the demand largely is our wildfire home evaluation programs, the fact that residents have grants and incentives now once they've identified the discoveries and what needs to be done, the fact that people are more and more concerned about not only the survivability of the structure, but also the insurability of the structure. We've had fire season predictions, there's fear of loss, and we know through the real estate sales disclosures that these types of vulnerabilities that homes have are included in these home sales and have an effect on home values and whether or not people can keep their insurance. Also, just to draw your attention, this is a clip of an ad that is in a home magazine that is now recognizing and implementing, the terms that we've been using about protecting homes. It's hardening your home, fire safety compliant, non-combustible cement siding, fire-resistant decks, etc. So there are beginning to see contractors moving in this direction and trying to meet that need that so many of us have, especially here in Marin. So we've developed this program and we've got a recruitment video that I want to share with you. A wildfire doesn't wait for a season. It doesn't knock before entering a neighborhood. It can find the smallest vulnerability and turn it into a total loss. Homeowners are looking for skilled professionals who understand these risks and use proven solutions to retrofit roofs, siding, vents, decks, windows, fences, and gates. If you're a licensed contractor, we have an opportunity for you. FireSafe Marin is offering a free online training program designed to give you the skills needed to meet this demand. In less than 5 hours of self-paced training, you'll learn the most common causes of home ignition, the best practices for wildfire retrofitting, material choices and design details that reduce risk. By completing the course, you'll earn a FireSafe Marin Academy certificate that'll help you stand out in this growing field. Wildfires aren't going away, but loss of homes is preventable. Join us and be a part of the solution. Follow the link or scan the QR code in the comments to learn more and apply. Okay, so that is our, let me see. That is our promo video. Apologies here. Okay. What I want to do now is just take you into the program itself so you can see it from the perspective of the contractors that are going to be taking this. All right. Okay. So what I'm going to do is just walk you through the introduction so you get an understanding of the course. So there's a series of short videos here that we're going to play so you get a good feel for this.
Welcome to Retrofitting Homes for Wildfire. We're glad you're here. By taking this course, you're building skills that can protect homes and grow your business. In about 5 hours of self-paced learning, you'll see how embers, heat, and flames threaten homes during a wildfire, and learn practical and cost-effective retrofitting solutions. You'll test your knowledge along the way and finish with a certificate that sets you apart as a contractor, ready for today's challenges. Thank you for being part of the solution. So let's get started. This course was designed with 4 objectives in mind. First, to equip contractors with the knowledge to make informed decisions when retrofitting homes for wildfire resilience. 2, to identify common vulnerabilities that make homes more likely to ignite during a wildfire and show proven mitigation strategies to reduce those risks. 3, to prepare a skilled workforce ready to meet the growing demands from homeowners seeking retrofit solutions. And 4, to promote a shared knowledge base across the building community of key risk factors, vulnerabilities, and effective wildfire mitigation strategies. Dr. Steve Quarles is a leading expert on wildfire ignitions. For decades, he's investigated what happens when embers, heat, and flames meet the built environment, and what construction choices can make the difference between a home surviving or burning. Steve has served as Chief Scientist of Wildfire and Durability for the Insurance Institute for Business and Home Safety, and as an advisor with UC Cooperative Extension. In 2024, Steve co-authored the landmark report, Retrofitting a Home for Wildfire Resistance, Costs and Considerations. You'll find a link to that publication in the course handbook. Few people have done more to advance our understanding of how to build and retrofit homes to withstand wildfire. We are honored to have Dr. Quarles share his experience and expertise through this course. This course is organized as sequential units. You are now moving through the introduction. The next 5 units are the heart of the course. Unit 1 provides the basics on home ignition and the principles guiding mitigation strategies. Unit 2 addresses factors near a home that can cause ignition, focusing on Zone 0, fences, and outbuildings. Unit 3 looks at attached decks. You'll learn to identify specific vulnerabilities of decks and options to consider when drawing up retrofitting strategies. Unit 4 explores ways to make exterior walls, vents, and eaves less vulnerable to ignition and ember intrusion. Unit 5 focuses on roofs, the materials, designs, and assemblies that can make roofs vulnerable to ignition and how to address these issues. Each of the 5 units begins with a short 10-minute presentation that highlights the most common vulnerabilities and mitigation strategies for different parts of the home. Next, you'll see a few examples of projects that apply these strategies. After each example, Dr. Quarles will share additional tips and considerations for situations you might face on the job. You'll find a summary of the unit's content in your Retrofitting for Wildfire course handbook. Review it before taking the quiz at the end of each unit. You'll need a score of 80% or higher to move on, but don't worry, you can retake the quiz as many times as needed. At the end of the course, you'll take a final test to confirm your understanding of key concepts. Scoring 80% or better earns you a certificate of completion. The certificate also qualifies you to be listed on Fire Safe Marin's website and distinguishes you as an informed professional in the field of wildfire preparedness. Here are a few practical tips to help you get the most out of this course. It's designed to work on your phone, tablet, or computer. When possible, we recommend using your computer or tablet to be able to see the videos, graphics, and other visual details more clearly. As you move through the course, note the menu displayed to the right. The section highlighted in red indicates your current location in the course. You'll see the length of each video to help you plan your time. You'll need to watch all the videos before unlocking the quiz at the end of the unit. Be sure to review the course handbook, which summarizes the key concepts covered and will help you prepare for the quiz. If you do not pass the quiz on your first attempt, don't stress. You can retake it immediately. Note that there is an explanation of all the correct and incorrect answers after each quiz question. At the end of the unit, you'll see a menu on the right that looks like this. Simply click on the next unit to continue learning. One more thing. This is a new program and your thoughts matter. Please take a moment to share your honest feedback at the end of the course. If you have any questions along the way, whether about course content or the learning platform, we're here to help. Click Contact Us on the menu bar or email us at contractortraining@firesafemarin.org.
Okay, so the good news is you've all just gone through the introduction, and I wanted to spend time to do that just so you could see how the whole course is laid out. I want to give you just a couple of short clips from videos so you can see the quality of the instruction and how it flows. So this is the first unit, the beginning of the first unit that's called How Homes Ignite During Wildfire.
Hello and welcome to Building and Retrofitting for Wildfire. My name is Steve Quarles. I've spent much of my career studying the vulnerabilities of buildings threatened by wildfire. The good news is that based on the over 20 years of research, we now have pretty solid evidence about what works to protect homes from igniting. Whether you're a contractor, a builder, or handyman, you can make a home dramatically more resistant to wildfire. The science is clear. Building design, material choices, and vegetation and other combustible items near a home and on the property can mean the difference between survival and destruction of a home. The key to building a wildfire-resistant home is understanding how homes ignite and how construction details and the use of appropriate materials can help a home survive. In this course, we will walk through the basics of how wildfire can threaten a home, then look at each part of a home, highlighting the most common vulnerabilities and changes that will reduce the chance of ignition of the home. There are 3 primary ways homes can ignite during a wildfire.
Okay. All right. So I think that gives you a pretty good sense of the quality and the pace of the training. High resolution videos, a lot of the background you might have recognized already from our Reduce the Risk videos. So we built on the foundation of the work that was being done and just elevated it with Dr. Quarles. What's really amazing is the fact that it gives people the opportunity to hear this from really the preeminent scientists for ignition-resistant construction of our time. So just a quick summary of what the components have. There's expert videos and lectures, the videos and graphics. There are the Reduce the Risk case study videos. So we actually take those risk reduce, and depending on what element it is, either fencing, decks, roofs, etc., it shows real world solutions on those common vulnerabilities. There's also commentary videos and deeper dives that provide additional contextual insight and alternative approaches. There's a downloadable workbook that references the codes and materials and other construction references. There are curated lists to technical resources. There's expert Q&A follow-up with the students. There are also unit assessments where we can get personalized feedback for the students and a final exam that they need to pass with feedback. That if they pass with greater than 80%, then they get that certificate of completion. The companion manual, I just want to show you kind of what that looks like. It's included digitally within the learning system itself, or they can download it. And I'm just kind of scrolling through so you can get a sense of the quality and the layout, the table of contents for each one of the units, and how in depth it goes. So how homes ignite, the near home vulnerabilities, attached decks, exterior wall systems, roof systems, etc. And then this would just show you basically the layout. Again, this is digitally embedded into the learning so they can read it along as they work their way through, or they can download this and highlight, keep notes on this. And it just hits on all of the high level points like you would see in a textbook for a course that you're taking. So all of the different elements within the key knowledge check before anyone would have to be taking a quiz. The certificate of completion, this is just a sample. It'll be made available after a participant passes the test. It'll be listed on FireSafe Marin's website. That will also help them become eligible to register for the MWPA grant-related work. It can be included on the Marin Builders Association website, and it also includes a certificate on the contractor's website. So contractors are a guide for homeowners who may have different priorities. And so again, another ad that you can see, this is Clough Construction using Zone Zero actually in their marketing materials that allows people to connect and understand that this is a company that understands what those issues and vulnerabilities are. So again, finding the right solution for the client requires that balance approach, the survivability and insurability of the home, the local codes understanding and requirements, the insurability, the cost options, aesthetic and home value, and maintenance and longevity. So I just want to share with you a little piece that's at the end of the course that shows how contractors can integrate this into their businesses.
Over the course of this training, we've looked closely at how wildfires ignite homes and shown you practical mitigation strategies that work. Now we want to zoom out and talk about what all this means for you as a building or retrofitting contractor working in wildfire-prone communities. Contractors are uniquely positioned to make a real difference in community wildfire resilience, not just through the work you do, but through the guidance you provide during every homeowner consultation. Clough Construction here in Marin County is a great example of a company that has had to evolve their business practices to address this issue. I'm here with Scott and Deanne Clough, and they're going to share about how they've had to transform their business to meet this need. Was there a particular fire or moment that changed your minds?
Yes, the campfires were a wake-up call for us. We had always installed decks and fences that were wood. Watching that situation brought to my mind that our business model might become obsolete.
Wow.
Then Lahaina fires were a pivotal moment for me in regards to wildfire prevention. After the fires, I noticed that 2 homes were left standing. That really struck me. I noticed that there was home hardening around the home.
Right.
This created a moment of hope that we could modify our business model and move forward.
So moving from fear to hope.
Yeah, and especially just noticing that it was mainly the home hardening in the Zone 0 area that let those houses survive.
So you knew things had to change for your business at that point?
Yes, we definitely knew that we had to do something and get away from the wood, especially connecting up to the houses. So we did a lot of research on non-combustible things, materials.
Right. So you're noticing that they're looking for design changes in the types of materials. And what do you think's driving that demand?
Well, I think a lot of it is the insurance companies as well as the fire departments trying to make the neighborhoods safer in times of wildfires.
So that's like the survivability of the home and the insurability of the home.
And fear of fire, home evaluation, home values, is doing these improvements actually increase the value. And when these products actually need to be replaced, it makes sense to do fire-safe building products.
So what kind of questions are homeowners asking you about the material?
Well, a lot of it is how much is it going to cost? You know, it starts out with that. And many people have fences and decks that really are aged and they need to have work done on them. So at that point, we're really promoting Class A decking and non-combustible areas for that Zone 0 area.
So I just wanted to give you a sense there of how, contractors are really central to this and how their businesses are, going to be changed to be able to address this particular need. So let me, for a second here. Okay, so, okay, my apologies here. Here we go. Okay, so in front of you, there's a
We can't see
flyer.
your screen yet, Chief. Oh, just kidding. We have our QR codes in front of us.
Yes, but let me make sure that you guys can see this. Okay, so the flyers that you have in front of you are basically part of the promotional materials that are being distributed through the Marin Builders Association. We did a full presentation to their board. There was about 17 members, and all of them immediately have signed up for this first cohort that we're taking through. You can get both details and to reserve their spot. The Get More Details takes you to our website, which lays out, also has a copy of these videos, what the training is all about, and then they can sign up to actually reserve a spot to go through that training, and then we're curating and helping them go through that. So how are they going to enroll? Well, they're going to apply. They have to provide their contractor's license number so that that can be captured. Then we give them an email that they'll receive to allow them to log into the course. We're asking them that even though it only takes less than 5 hours to complete, that they do complete the training within 30 days and then give us feedback on that course as that first cohort goes through. So really some of the anticipated outcomes and community impacts is we expect to get a more knowledgeable workforce. We think there'll be higher standards of practice as a result. We'll get stronger homeowner support, a flexible modular resource that contractors can use at their own time when it's convenient for them. And this is also a scalable model, and that this can be used across the rest of the state if it proves to be completely successful. So the next steps is through June and July, we are promoting the training. We're reserving the spots and getting them ready. Right at the end of July, we're going to enroll that first cohort through. So we anticipate starting by July 31st, up to 50 people can go through at any one time. And then as they complete, we'll do follow-up interviews with them in September. And so again, this is just a slide indicating all of the different partners that have been a part of this, the Marin Builders Association, Marin Community Foundation with funding, and then of course, Marin Wildfire. So that ends my presentation.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I'm happy to take questions.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to ask for, comments and questions from the board. Director Goins.
Hi, Bill. This is really spectacular. Thank you. My question is we're in our 7th year now, I think, and we spent a lot of money and a lot of staff time and knocking on people's doors and doing home evaluations, putting on record pictures, findings, recommendations. And I'll just say personally, I just hardened my home and it was just under $100,000, which not everybody has. I don't have it either. So the point is that what's the opportunity here to connect the work that we've done on identifying findings and secondly, prioritizing that which needs to be done over a series of years, as opposed to a contractor knocking on your door and I've got these 10 things I need to do to your home. So number one is a suggestion. Would you consider integrating the work that we've done into the teaching so the contractors know that there are assessments in place on record that people are being asked to take action on? And number two is to talk about, I see you said cost savings, but I know that what I did, I could have probably done for half with cheaper materials and less siding. But basically, an all-in contractor is not the kind of guy that I want to see. I want to see a contractor that looks at my assessment and helps me prioritize and invest over a series of years in hardening my home. So what's your response to that?
So part of this is building on the relationships with the Marin Builders Association so that they understand how the assessments are conducted. But remember, once they go through this training, they will be identified on our website as contractors that have successfully completed this training. And then we are, for every single discovery that is found in those fireside reports that are done through the people doing the assessments, are going to also be on our website and connected through similar processes and pages. So there'll be links in Fireside to the web page with all of the different discoveries and into the contractor so that there's a connection there. So that is just one way that we're doing it. I think there's additional training, as you know, in our scope of work this year. A lot of it, our programs have been narrowed down to work much more closely with certain cohorts and groups that really are going to make a difference. And contractors is one of those. And so we've already been reaching out to them to provide additional training so that they all know who we are and that they know the process. And so I could see a training being done for them or recorded that talks about the fireside reports and how to connect with residences. But we believe that through the reports is where we're driving people. Open your report, make the changes, then document those. There's that connection between the reports, the website, and the contractor training.
And if I can add on real
Mark,
quick
yeah.
to help answer Bruce's question, if you remember, the funding for this education was funded by Marin Community Foundation, and that was a companion grant that we received from Marin Community Foundation to create the Ember Ready program. So the residents are going to learn through the Ember Ready program how to prioritize the work, what type of materials they could use, whether they want to go with the high-end materials or the cost savings materials, and then through Ember Ready, they're going to be able to get connected to contractors that have been through the fire safe Marin training.
Director Kurtz.
Thank you. Couple of questions. Great program. In the first cohort, it's going to be through Marin Builders, it sounds like. For future cohorts, is there a limit on where people are? Because the materials are going to be available online. I mean, presumably then somebody in Colorado, which is great, could take the training, but that's not really the intent. Are you limiting it to contractors who are Bay Area based or locally based? And I have a follow-on question after that.
Yeah. So first of all, we have as you can see, we have got the promotional video set up, and we're going to do a campaign style approach locally here in Marin. So going through chambers of commerce that have local contractors that may not be a part of the Marin Builders Association, for an example, even through realtors. So our main focus and why the funding was focused also out of Marin was to saturate Marin contractors with this information. There's no doubt that the program, if it is successful, will end up where other areas are going to want to participate. And I think it creates opportunities to partner with either other fire safe councils or other organizations like the U.S. Green Builders Council to be able to help curate the program and make it available. So our main focus and why this was ever created was for Marin, contractors in Marin, homeowners in Marin, but it will have a broad appeal. We will, if there gets into a point where we have limited seats, we can gatekeep and make sure that Marin contractors get the pride of place, if you will, before allowing others in.
Right. Thank you. Follow on to that. Who owns the license for it?
You mean the learning management system?
Uh-huh.
So we have a contract for the learning management system that we have to pay for, and the funding through Marin Community Foundation, will likely be putting together future work plans that, if it is successful and Marin wants to continue it, to be funded partially through MWPA. It's a small amount of money, and then the who holds the license is tied in our contract back to MWPA.
And so with the conversation that in the future, if other agencies are interested in using it, would there be a fee to be able to access it or to use, pay for it?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good question. We haven't crossed that bridge yet, whether or not there could be groups that are willing to pay. It's intended to be free to contractors, but potentially outside contractors, whether they would pay a fee or whether we could get sponsorships from, construction companies, product companies, insurance companies may want to sponsor this, similar to, putting their name on a stadium. It could be a revenue return.
I would see if there's a way that we can trademark it, since we're the first one going out, if there's a way to capture it.
Yeah, so as you can see on the program, we do have a trademark on the logo itself. We have gotten some free consultation from attorneys that specialize in copyright and trademark, and they are walking us through the process to be able to do that.
Okay, great. And then in terms of most of the contractors who are engaged with Marin Builders are pretty formalized and established. For reaching contractors who are not as formalized and who I'm sure you've already addressed the question of like conducting the training in Spanish or conducting the training in a group setting versus individuals who may not have access to the level of technology needed, or 5 hours for some is not a lot, 5 hours for some is a lot. So in terms of, if I'm an equity perspective, how is that being looked at?
So right now, is what we heard from contractors is that they wanted to have an online opportunity where they could watch it asynchronously, whether it's on the weekends, on their phone, in between jobs, that they could do it at a self-paced manner. Because it's available online, anyone could go into a library and get into the program that way as well if they can't afford to have a computer. So, we have an ability for people to email us if they need assistance. We're happy to try and assist them. And you also mentioned Spanish. There will be a Spanish version of this. We're working through two different approaches. One is captioning of the existing English version. We've also been looking at using a AI tool that would allow both the voice and the words to come from the person speaking. So it would in their voice. So it would be Steve Quarles speaking Spanish, in a approved translation. So those are coming, and those will be completed before the end of this grant funded period.
Great, appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah.
Director Burke, thank you very much. Wonderful, wonderful product, and another Marin first, I guess. Congratulations. You answered my Spanish language question. I just have a couple of suggestions. I'm going to go back tomorrow morning and laminate this and put it on our planning front desk in City Hall.
Great.
So as people come in there, they see it.
Yes.
And I would suggest maybe reaching out to the San Francisco Association of AIA Architects and making them aware of it as well, because I think going upstream beyond the contractor with something of this quality would be very valuable to architects and designers.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think there's going to be far broader uses for this training, because to have Dr. Quarles, walk people through this, our wildfire mitigation specialists, the people that conduct assessments, would have a chance to hear firsthand from the expert on why, giving visual and written responses to that. And so I think that we want to get this out and in a way that we can get good feedback to get it established. But I think there are a lot of other broad uses. I completely agree with you on the architects.
Great. Thank you very much.
Yep.
Director McMillan.
Yeah, I think this is fantastic. I think maybe some of the board members would like to take the class. And I also think a lot of Firewise leaders would be interested in learning and taking the class. And there may be some economies of scale if Firewise neighborhoods band together and, hire a contractor to replace all their gutter guards or their fences or whatever. So maybe there's a way to help facilitate some economies of scale and lowering the budget so we don't all have to pay what Bruce paid.
Yeah, I mean, with regards to cost, that it is addressed in the series at each one of the, architectural features, if you will. There are the low cost and then, other options that are there. And that's one of the beauties of the program is it identifies, let's say you've got an issues with your deck. There are issues that they talk about, solutions that you can remove just near home boards and the first 6 inches, let's say, of where the deck meets the siding, and instead of replacing the entire deck. All of those are code approved changes that will reduce your risk.
Thank you so much. So, yes, Director Burke. Sorry. Is there any thought to providing like a 30-minute version of this that could be, for example, shown to neighborhood resource groups as we roll out NRGs and things like that? Or it could be part of a library presentation around emergency prep. So it drills it down into, Dr. Quarles' key points and factors and things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've done that with our videos over the past. For example, the evacuation programming that we did with Mark Brown, was put into smaller, up to 30-second pieces that people could more easily digest. And so that's a great example. I know these will make their way onto YouTube's, and people can utilize this in presentations. There's many different uses. So I agree with you.
Any other questions or comments? I'm going to take privilege. Okay, so the questions that I get in my neighborhood is if I want to do it myself, or I don't know whether or not if I hire a contractor, it's going to cost me more because they're certified. And I need to identify the materials that I need that are fire resistant. Do you think out of any of this, we can
Yes.
come up with a list of what works and what materials are available and costs and that kind of thing for people who can't afford to do what Bruce did?
That is
So
what the
in-
Ready
in-
program is about.
Great.
So
Okay.
in their inspection report, they can get connected to Ember Ready, and that's where they will be able to receive those resources.
And will it also help us get off the FAIR plan if we do this?
Ember Ready team, and as you're likely to hear in a few minutes, is already connected with a few people and are working to get them off the FAIR plan.
Great. Okay. So the next step is promote and training and get the first cohort through and then get some additional feedback and information for all of us. And also whether we can make it available to this board if they want to take the course. I do.
Yes, you can. If you want to go ahead and put your, use the QR code there, you can sign up for the class and then we'll contact you and
Great.
enroll you. Yeah.
Terrific. This is a really great project. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, I will now take public comment on this item. Are there any members of the public present or online who wish to make a comment?
We do have one hand raised. Abby, you should be able to deliver your comment at this time, and the timer will begin once you start speaking.
Hi, thank you. I can't thank you enough, Fire Safe Marin, for this great program. I'm very enthusiastic about it. I would like to take this course even, and I'm sure that there are other Marin homeowners that are savvy with handyman sorts of activities that would benefit from this. I love Stephen L. Quarles, especially the literature that he's co-authored over the years. I particularly like the emphasis on the embers and the home hardening. Stephen L. Quarles actually co-authored an article that would be good for your website called Wildland Urban Fire Disasters Aren't Actually a Wildfire Problem. And the upshot is that they're a defensible space and home hardening problem. That was one of the articles that I submitted to you guys. And in addition to this, I liked how people were asking questions about the low-hanging fruit that you can implement right away. Things like the screens on vents and stuff like that, and gutter covers and things like that don't have to be such a heavy lift. And I love the discussion around prioritizing. Another interesting point is that I spoke to a contractor today that was installing an interior sprinkler system, and he was telling me that the counties of Napa and Sonoma have mandated for new construction exterior sprinklers as well. So I don't know how practical that is for new builds here in Marin, but if anybody else is thinking about home hardening and that's allowable in the town, I guess you can talk to your MWPA board members or the town about exterior sprinklers, because I believe that's, at least according to this contractor, that's what's being proposed. But home hardening, defensible space, safe evacuation routes. I'm really happy to see that you guys are looking at it from this angle, and thank you so much for this presentation. It's super, super helpful. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Chief Tyler. Anyone else? Okay, that's excellent. Thank you. So now this does not require a vote. So we'll now go back, excuse me, to item 7, action items. The first one, the Executive Officer's Annual Cost of Living Adjustment for FY 26-27. Prior to take final action on the Executive Officer's Annual COLA adjustment, the Brown Act requires the board to make an oral report summarizing the recommended action. In this instance, staff recommends the board approve a 3.5% COLA for the fiscal year 2026-27, which will increase the executive officer's base salary to $231,698 per year. Emily Longfellow with the Marin Wildfire's General Counsel's Office will provide the staff report. Emily.
Thank you, members of the board. Excuse me. And I appreciate being here in my partner's stead while she is busy and has other things she's doing. So as you just heard, the Brown Act does require an oral summary of recommended compensation for the executive director position. Before you today is a resolution approving that annual cost of living adjustment for fiscal year 26-27. Mark's contract specifies that he will receive an annual COLA effective July 1st. And under the executive officer compensation policy and plan that the board adopted, I believe it was in 2023, the annual COLA is the consumer price index for the Bay Area. It's capped at 3.5% unless the board agrees that a greater increase is warranted, which we are not recommending here. The resolution before you today approves the executive director's COLA at 3.5% to be retroactively effective for the July pay period. Now the base salary is $223,863, and the COLA increase will amount to an increase in $7,835.21 for the year. No other terms of the employment contract or compensation are being modified, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Are there any questions from the board? Okay, then I will now take public comment on this item. Are there any members present or online who wish to make a comment?
We do have one hand raised. Abby, you should be able to deliver your comment at this time, and the timer will begin once you start speaking.
Sorry, I didn't mean to have my my hand raised. I have no comment.
Thank you for the no comment. Okay, seeing no other comments, let's bring it back to the board for discussion and a motion. Could I have?
I'll make a motion to adopt the attached resolution approving a cost of living adjustment COLA for Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority's executive officer to be retroactive to the first pay period of July 2026.
Do I have a second? Thank you, Director Evergettis. Okay, so we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any abstentions? The motion passes. Thank you so much. Okay. Now, the next action item are board elections. Aw, okay. I liked it here. Oh. Anyway, so Mark Brown will provide the board with a staff report. And please, Mark, take it away.
Well, I'll first start by thanking you for your year of being the president for Marin Wildfire. It was definitely a pleasure working side by side with you as we navigate the creation of our work plan and getting all the work done. And kudos to whoever brought you flowers. So thank you very much. Who was thoughtful.
It's wonderful. Thank you so much.
But we tend to find a gift that is in line with what our president would like. So we'll work something out with you. But thank you very much for your service. One of our OG, one of the people who've been here from the original, from the onset. So thank you very much for not just your time as the president, but how much time you spent on the finance committee, how much time you put towards the executive committee, and then just being well engaged with everything. So thank you.
Thank you so much. Do I get to comment now or do I have to wait till later? I just want to say how incredible honored I feel having the support, and not only the support, but also your great ideas. I think this board is phenomenal, each and every one of you. And so it was my great honor to really represent you and look at what we accomplished last year. I mean, I don't have a list because it would scroll out here and it would take us another hour to go through it, but we've done a magnificent job. So I want to congratulate the board and thank you so much for allowing me to serve.
And, you know, we're all trying to stop scrolling. So So the process for the transition of our leadership for Marin Wildfire was established a few years ago, and we've established the pattern of the vice president ascending to the president, and then a new vice president being voted in. We used May into June as the time for people to send letters of interest. We received 2 letters of interest for president and vice president. Barbara Kohler for president, Dennis Rodoni for vice president. But in the policy, we also have the ability for at today's meeting for any nomination for from the floor outside of the 2 that have already. And so I'll just pause a little bit and see if there's any nominations from the floor. Not surprisingly, none. And so now I'll suggest to the board that we have a motion for Barbara Kohler to be as president, and then a separate motion for Dennis Rodoni as vice president.
Do public comment?
I'm sure we do.
So we were supposed to have questions and we said no questions. When do the candidates want to make any comments about themselves?
I think we did that last time, so I don't think you need to hear it again unless Dennis would love to.
Okay, so I'll now take public comments about this item. Is there anyone present or online who wishes to make a comment?
There are no hands at this time.
Okay, seeing no comments, just a comment.
No, I wanted to make a motion.
Oh, good.
So I would like to move that Barbara Kohler become the president of the MWPA board. I'll second.
So I'm sorry, second.
Second.
Oh, so Rachel, okay. So Director McMillan made the motion, Director Kurtz seconded. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Excuse me? Are we good? Okay, and abstentions? No abstent. Congratulations on becoming. Good for you.
And I'd like to make a motion to appoint Supervisor Director Rodoni to be the vice president of Marin Wildfire.
And I'll second it.
Director Cassis. Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve Supervisor Rodoni as the vice president of Marin Wildfire Prevention Authority. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Congratulations, Dennis, as vice president. Great. So do I continue or?
You still have the steering wheel till the end of this meeting.
Oh, boy. Got it. Okay. So our next item is, that's just a moment. Staff report?
Fine.
Right, good, of course. So finance report. So will you, Mark, please provide the board with the report, and perhaps you're going to introduce people?
We are going to introduce people today. And so I'll just start off with, I'm sure you noticed there was no staff report or financials as the attachment. Transitions are sometimes difficult, but it actually wasn't part of the transition on why we don't have the data. We are a sub account in Bank of America as part of the county, and the data transfer from the county to get to us to be able to generate the report did not happen in time. So we'll get that report to you soon. And then we are also working hard to close out fiscal year 26. And then as part of the transition, we just received an email from the Southern Marin Finance team to be able to transfer all the data over to San Anselmo. San Anselmo is ramping up very quickly. As of tomorrow, we'll be receiving our first payroll through the San Anselmo system. That all went well. And then we're also, I just approved our first my payments and processing AP run today through the city of San Anselmo. So I did want to take an opportunity to introduce our new San Anselmo team. We have Jeff Zuba and Robin Clifford online just to say hi to you all. And in the future, instead of hearing me stumble through financial terms, you'll hear the experts.
Are we going to see them, or are they online where we can actually see their faces?
When they start talking, I think you'll be able to see them.
Sorry. Good afternoon, board. Myself and my team member, Robin Clifford, are here. Robin is our senior accountant financial supervisor, and also part of our team is our management analyst, Mirabai Tangwe. We've been a team together for, I think, around 3 years. Robin been with the town the longest, around 6, Mirabai 3, and myself 5. And we're excited to work with Mark and Martina and the rest of the team. And yeah, as Mark stated, we're kicking things off and getting ramped up, but things are going well so far.
Great. Does your partner have any comment? Would you like to make a comment, Robin?
Hi, nice to meet everybody.
Good.
Yeah,
All
I don't
right.
really have anything to add. Jeff covered it all.
Thank you so much for your, being here, and we look forward to your excellent reports coming up next month.
Thank you.
I have a quick question. So about our audit. So where are we in our 24-25 audit?
It's well underway. We've been in a constant dialogue with our auditors and supplying the information to their information requests.
Perfect. Okay, thank you so much. Thank you, everyone. All right. So I can now take public comments on our financial report. Is there anyone present or online who wished to make a statement or give a comment?
There are no hands at this time.
Okay. Seeing no more hands, then we'll bring it back to the board. Okay, no motion is, do you have?
I just want to make a comment. I made this last time or a couple times ago. I sit on the Ross Valley Fire Board with Director Finn and Director McMillan, who's the president, and just want to say the crack San Anselmo financial team are our team. They do an amazing job, so we're really happy to have you join us.
Great. That's great support. Okay. So let's see, where are we? Okay, so seeing no more comments, this does not require a motion. So we will now move on to item 8B, Work Plan Development Update. Planning and Program Manager Ann Krelock will provide the board with a staff report on this item. Ann.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. This is really a work plan implementation update. And so I'm going to start off with a photo from the Greater Mill Valley Fuel Break. And this is a field trip that we took on June 26th. So thank you to those who attended that field trip. And we love bringing people out to project sites. This is a 23-mile long shaded fuel break around the community of Mill Valley. And we are planning future field trips. So if you have ideas, please do let us know. But I'm going to be working with the Ember Ready team to plan a field trip to see an Ember Ready neighborhood where good home hardening and D-space type activities are taking place. So stay tuned and please do reach out if you have particular projects you'd like to be considered for future field trips. So a few high-level statistics going on right now, a lot of inspections and grants and chipper activity. So in the future, so what I'm doing right now is working with Fire Aside so that each month I'm going to be receiving a report zone by zone, how many grants are being distributed in each of those zones. I don't have that yet, but I will for future meetings. Right now I have overall numbers. And so right now, in terms of inspections, we're at well over 11,000 inspections throughout the 5 zones completed thus far this in 2026, so starting January 1st. The grant programs are very active and underway to reimburse great home hardening and D-space activities. January 1st through July 2026, well over 800 grants are either in progress or have been awarded throughout all 5 zones, and that's according to Fire Aside. And that doesn't include direct assistance. So, there are a lot of different programs throughout the entire JPA that are that reimburse residents to do home hardening and defensible space activities. And we also have direct assistance programs that go out and do that good work for those residents. So these numbers don't reflect that, but just know we have well over about $3.2 million in the 26-27 work plan allocated for those sorts of activities. And inspections, it's over $4 million in the 26-27 work plan for that. We also have a very active chipper program that's already done, well over 2,200 pickups throughout the 5 zones of the JPA. The JPA-wide grant program this year includes, it's very similar to the program last year that kicked off on July 1st. Novato and Santa Fe are managing their funds through that JPA-wide program, but the Defensible Space Alliance is managing the funds for Southern Marin, Central, and West Marin. And that includes up to $1,500 per parcel, same as last year. A median household income, you need to be at or below 120% of the median household income. And you'll get covered vent replacements, zone 0 vegetation, and that combustible fence attachment to your home. And you need to have had a full evaluation of your home to participate. I want to take note, we have a new web page that is online now. This you can find from our homepage. You go to projects, go down to data and dashboards. We're going to make all of our data and our maps and our modeling and our CWPP interactive maps really easy to find on our website. So this is the place to go if you want to find out how many acres we've treated, where we've worked, where the inspections are taking place, how we're looking in terms of evacuations, on our roadways, etc. Once we have the CWPP finalized, that's where you're going to find that information. So wanted to make sure you're aware of that. We'll also include other maps, interactive and not. One of the maps we're thinking about putting there is fire history in Marin. If you have ideas for maps that you'd like to see there, let me know. We're building it now. So speaking of CWPP, we had that great meeting in May where we had a couple of hundred people join us in Santa Fe to talk about the Community Wildfire Protection Plan update. And in the last couple of months, Mark and others have been working to review the CWPP for diversity, equity, and inclusion. Big thank you to Resources Legacy Fund who helped fund that work, and the Justice Collective who helped review the CWPP for those considerations, and those edits and additions would be in progress now. In August, we're going to return to our CWPP stakeholders, all the member agencies and partners that have been part of the building process for this document. And we'll talk about templates for going to your boards and councils with the CWPP in the fall, and what has changed in terms of the updating and finalizing the CWP documents and the interactive maps, etc. And so we'll bring everybody back together and share the results. In September, this board of directors will likely see the CWPP on the agenda, so we'll have a detailed presentation on that. And so we look forward to talking more about that with you all. And with that, I want to bring Kathleen Cutter, who's online, to talk more about the Ember Ready program. That program has been kicking off and has several pilot projects going right now. So we wanted to highlight that with you today. And so she's just going to take a couple of minutes here and talk a little bit about what they've been up to. Kathleen, are you there?
Yes, I am. I'm shooting for 3 minutes to share this first pilot project in north of side of Marin City, which is going to be super tough because I could talk about it all day. So here we go. We just completed this morning our first zone 0 vegetation removal at an HOA in northern Marin City. As I said, it was a true collaboration between Marin County Fire, Southern Marin Fire, Marin Wildfire, us, and the HOA. This was a fabulous HOA, and we chose them first because they approached us saying, we have a 3-year plan to remove vegetation in zone 0. We have 139 condos. It's going to be impossible. How can we help? I mean, how do I prioritize? So we said, sure, we'll do what we can. Do you mind sharing the next slide, or do you want me to go ahead? Oh, perfect. So here I pulled this slide from our website, our dashboard, our vegetation removal dashboard. You can see the area that's circled, that is the HOA. You can see it's right above Tam Valley. So you can see also that the Southern Marin Shaded Fuel Break goes there, is going through there, and part of it's done. The arrows pointing to the units that we focused on because we had direct assistance pulled for the zone of Southern Marin. And we, $10,000 doesn't go very far, but this is about 10 units of condos all close together. And this was chosen as the most, the one that we should target by the fire captain of Marin County Fire. Next slide, please. This is removal from zone 0. And nearby, you can see there's a lot of looks like dead material, and that's why we pulled it. It just had aged out. We have some diseased tree limbs in there and a couple diseased trees that were literally up against the units. But I wanted to show you that, but that's not what I want to focus on. I want to focus on what it means to have beautiful zone 0. So next slide, please. So as you can see here, you have an asparagus plant up against that wood shake shingle, and you have another plant. If you press click, just one down one, we should see what it looks like now. We remove those 2 plants, and that's not it. What's going to happen is they have a plan to do, I don't know if you can tell, but on the right, just to the left of the walkway, there's gravel. It's decorative gravel, and they're going to move that and the place that where the zone 0 is, and they're going to do small plantings. They're going to follow with small plantings in where that gravel currently is. They have all sorts of rocks, and they're going to be flipping all throughout their HOA, and they are placed towards the walkway. So we're going to ask them to just move those rocks to the areas in which we removed vegetation. Next slide, please. This is that same spot from a different angle. You can't even tell we removed anything. Again, this is not moonscaping. This is reallocating plants as we can. We did a lot of transplanting of key plants, which you'll see in a moment. So if you please, next slide, please. I'm pointing this out. You can't see right on the right-hand side, there's another building. I'm on the edge of another building, and you can see we have some flax there. And we took the smaller ones out and set those aside. We didn't chuck them. And we cut down some of the others, and we removed some that were completely, that were too big for the spot. Next slide, please, or next, there we go. So you can see how we trimmed it down, and that's one of the 2 dwarf maples, Japanese maples, that we moved to the spot that was up against a house, one of the units. So there's 2 maples that we transplanted for this HOA in safer places outside of zone 0 where they can take advantage of the new space. And we also removed or transplanted a young fig that someone had planted. Now remember, on the left-hand side, there's that picture in the lower right. There is a flax there about that size, and there's a few other in there. If you click the next slide, please. See there, that's a New Zealand tea tree that got way out of hand. They tend to get woody and old and catch a lot of debris from the above trees. So we remove that. Next slide, please. And you can see that that's where we planted some of those flax. Those are outside of zone 0. And it just really, that was a real big selling point for the HOA. They really appreciated that we took the time to transplant some of the plants that they really wanted to save into safer spots, and then we further removed some dead material. So it was a real collaboration, a real back and forth. It took a lot of time, but at this point I will end my talk because I think I've hit just over 3. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you so much, Kathleen. So as you can see, there's a lot going on from home hardening and zone 0 and defensible space on evacuation routes out through the WUI and at the edge of our neighborhoods. So very busy time, and I'm happy to take any questions. Thank you.
Do members of the board have any questions, comments? Hearing none,
I would like to add just one thing. This is going to become a Firewise site, this HOA now, and we're going to follow up with vents.
Great. Firewise HOA. Okay, so any members of the public present or online who wish to make a comment?
There are no hands at this time.
Okay, hearing none, no motion is required because this was a report. So we've already done item 9. Thank you so much, Chief Tyler. That was excellent. So now we're on item 10, information items, and they're minutes of the July 2nd Executive Committee meeting. Is any action required? It's just an information item, right? Okay, item 11, board requests regarding future agenda items. Do any members of the board want to request any future agenda items?
I'll take this opportunity to say that we are likely not to have an exec or a board meeting in August. However, be prepared for a potential strategic planning session.
Thank you so much.
I'd give and
Wow.
I take, right?
Oh, great. All right. So again, I want to first of all, thank you, Barbara, for these beautiful flowers. And thank you so much, everybody, for the opportunity. And we are adjourned. Thank you. Thank you. That's great.
Stay calm.